Welcome to Carol and Gary's See America Tour.
Hello again, everyone. Carol, Jasper, and I left Rhode Island on Thursday, June 17th and headed north. Shortly after entering the interstate, we saw a sign welcoming us to Massachusetts, the 42nd state that Carol and I have visited together. We continued driving until we arrived in Littleton, Massachusetts. We selected Littleton for our first week in Massachusetts because of its central location on the eastern side of the state. On Friday, June 18th, Carol and I visited the Witch Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. The Salem witch trials were a series of hearings and prosecutions of people accused of witchcraft in colonial Massachusetts between February 1692 and May 1693. More than 200 people were accused. 30 people were found guilty, 19 of whom were executed by hanging. Of these, 14 were women and 5 men. The grand juries and trials of these capital crimes were conducted by a special court appointed in 1692 to hear certain criminal cases. By 1693, a superior court of judicature conducted the court hearings. Both types of hearings were held in Salem, where the hangings also took place. This was one of colonial America's most notorious cases of mass hysteria. I'd be lying if I told you that we enjoyed our visit to the Witch Museum. The first half of the presentation was a short play with mannequins. After the play, we were led down a crowded hallway and told to read the literature on the wall. After the museum, we walked around town looking at old houses. This is a life-size statue of Elizabeth Montgomery, who played Samantha on the television show Bewitched in the 1960s and 1970s. On Saturday, June 19th, Carol and I visited the boat cotton mill in nearby Lowell, Massachusetts. Near the town of Lowell, the Merrimack River drops 32 feet in less than a mile. This drop had previously made it difficult to float logs down the river to Newburyport. So in 1792, a group of investors got together and built a canal system through Lowell, bypassing the falls. These canals made it possible to float logs to the shipping port at Newburyport. The Industrial Revolution, which occurred between 1760 and 1840, was the transition of new manufacturing processes in Europe and the United States. One of the processes that benefited from the Industrial Revolution was textile manufacturing. In 1835, Kirk Boot opened the Boot Cotton Mill in Lowell. This mill used the flow of water in the canal to power the equipment. Here our tour guide has inserted a piece of red thread into the weaving machine to demonstrate how fast the machine is running. The machine needs to be monitored, but an operator didn't need to sit in front of it all the time. One operator could monitor the flow of up to 30 machines. The weaving machines were fed from this array of bobbins on the side. Another worker would use this machine to load the bobbins and then deliver them to the machines as needed. This machine could load up to 20 bobbins at a time. The Boot Cotton Mill was a massive operation in its day, taking in raw cotton bales and transforming it into woven material. Most of the labor force came from young farm girls living in the area. A dormitory was built to house these young women. As time went on and technology improved, Boot and other textile manufacturing companies in Lowell shut down. Today, the Boot Cotton Mill is operated as a museum by the National Park Service. On Monday, Carol and I took Jasper and headed for Cape Cod. As we neared Marlborough, Massachusetts, I saw a sign along the interstate pointing us to Plymouth, Massachusetts, so we decided to take a quick detour. Plymouth, Massachusetts is the place where the Pilgrims landed in the Mayflower in November 1620. The Plymouth settlement was named after their departure port of Plymouth, England. A rock has been inscribed with the year 1620 to document the Pilgrims' arrival. A structure has been built around the rock to protect it from graffiti and vandalism. A short distance from Plymouth Rock, the Mayflower II was moored. The 106-foot-long, 25-foot-wide Mayflower II was built in Devon, England between 1955 and 1956 in collaboration between Englishmen Warwick Carleton and Plymouth Plantation, an American museum. Upon completion, the Mayflower II sailed from England, recreating the original voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. With the exception of a few details including electric lights and a ladder replaced by a lower deck staircase, the ship is a complete reproduction with solid oak timbers, tarred hemp rigging, and hand-colored maps. Here are some boats floating nearby in Plymouth Bay. After looking around some more, we decided to continue on to Cape Cod. Our goal was to drive to Provincetown at the north end of Cape Cod. Shortly after passing the town of Eastham, we saw a sign directing us to turn right to see Nauset Beach Lighthouse. The Nauset Beach Lighthouse is a restored lighthouse erected in 1923 using the 1877 tower that was moved from Chatham. The tower is a cast iron plate shell lined with brick and stands 48 feet tall. Fully automated, the beacon is a private aid to navigation. Tours of the tower and oil house are available on Sundays during the summer. A short distance from the Nauset Lighthouse were three other lighthouses, interestingly named the Three Sisters. The original three brick towers fell into the sea due to erosion in 1890 and were replaced with wooden towers on brick foundations in 1892. The sisters were decommissioned in 1911, but one of them, the beacon, was moved back from the shoreline and attached to the keeper's house. This lighthouse was replaced in 1923 by the Nauset Lighthouse, the red-topped one that you just saw. Getting back on the road, we drive a short distance before we see a sign directing us to the Highland Lighthouse. The Highland Lighthouse was erected in 1857, replacing two earlier towers that were built in 1797 and 1831. Highland Lighthouse is the oldest and tallest lighthouse on Cape Cod, and as you can see, is currently getting a facelift, undergoing structural repairs including masonry restoration, drainage system improvements, and repairs to windows, stairs, and decks. The Highland Lighthouse is owned by the National Park Service, but is operated by the U.S. Coast Guard as an aid to navigation. The entire east side of Cape Cod, identified in green in this picture, is managed by the National Park Service. Using my lifetime National Parks Pass, Carol, Jasper, and I pulled off the road one more time before Provincetown to check out the beaches. Even though it was a warm day, a cool breeze was blowing off the Atlantic Ocean. Back on the road, we completed the short drive to Provincetown. After driving through busy downtown Provincetown, we decided to head back to our motorhome. Having Jasper with us took the pressure off him having to wait for a potty break until we got back, but it was going to be 157 miles back to the motorhome through rush hour traffic. Well, this is going to do it for our first week in Massachusetts. You may have noticed that we avoided Boston this week, but we will be moving closer to Boston on Thursday and then concentrating on nothing but Boston next week. If you like this video but have not yet subscribed, please do so to be notified of future videos, and as always, feel free to share with your friends. Thanks for watching.